So, thank you, Thomas. So, I'm not Ross Anderson. I'm sorry I won't give an invited talk on low entropy crypto. And so, instead, my name is Canteaut, and I serve as a chair of the FSC steering committee. And because the lunch is not ready, then Thomas and Gregor asked me to sing a song. No, don't worry. Well, what I'm doing here is I will try to, I will explain you how the selection and how the new publication model for FSC will be starting from this year. So I have a very nice list of co-authors here, but you can probably guess that all these people are the members of the FSC steering committee. So before explaining how it will work, I probably need to explain you briefly what is the context, because it's important to understand how we came up with this. So maybe some of you remember, probably not the youngest one in the audience, but maybe some of you remember that within the IACR, some years ago, I would say like 5 years ago, we had a big discussion about our publication model. Basically, the discussion was, do we want to change the publication model and move into a journal-style publication model, or do we prefer to stay with all nice conferences in crypto? And actually, there was no clear conclusion after this discussion, but the discussion came up last year for a good reason. The reason is that the contract between the IACR and Springer ends up this year in 2016. And so it has been asked to all steering committees of all IACR workshops, I mean FSC, but also PKC, CHAS, and TCC, it was asked whether we wanted to change the model or not. And so we had a big discussion within the steering committee of FSC, and then it has appeared very quickly that we are not very happy with the current situation. So there are many reasons for this. The first reason, which is a concern which is shared by the whole community in crypto, is that we think that it's very important to have what is called gold open access to our publications. This means that we would like to have all our papers available for free exactly at the time of publication. And this is not the case at the moment, because as you know, we have a 4-year embargo period, that means that when we publish a paper, we need to wait during 4 years until this paper will be available for free. And this now is quite an important issue, because in most countries, the libraries cannot pay anymore for this access to some journal or some publishers. And just to give you an example, this now happens in France. And in France, it has been decided at a national level that for all universities and all public organizations now, we cannot pay anymore for accessing LNCS. So this means that nobody from a French university or nobody from a French academia can have access to our paper. So this is the first reason. Of course, Springer can offer this gold open access. The problem is that it's very expensive. What they want is that we pay this publication fee, which are roughly something like 700 or 800 euros per paper, and this has to be paid by the authors. So this is really something which is not suitable for us. So the second question, which is probably the most important, is that we think that the quality of our paper can be improved a lot if we had some interaction between the authors of the papers and the reviewers. So you probably all experiment this, that when you are a reviewer, well, you ask the author for some modification, and then you don't have the possibility to check whether they did this or not. So you have the surprise in the final version of the paper. And as an author, of course, you know that sometimes you receive some comments that you think are not relevant, and you have no way to answer to the reviewer and to explain why you believe that this comment is not relevant. And so this is really a problem, because it would be nice to have this discussion, and actually that's what we are doing in practice, but in a silly way, because what we are doing is that usually you prepare your papers, submit it to Eurocrypt, then you receive some comments, you address these comments, and you resubmit a paper, a revised version of your paper to crypto, then you received a second bunch of comments, which contradict the first ones, but then you improve your paper, and then you get a reasonable version that will be accepted to IACR or to FSE. This is what happens usually, and so this means that now what happens is that most of our papers are accepted, but after 2 or 3 submissions. And we think that this way of doing things is not probably optimal, because this means that every paper is reviewed by something like 10 reviewers, different reviewers, whereas we could do the same thing with only 3 reviewers and some interaction between reviewers and authors. So this is really the main scientific argument we had for changing the model. And also, a more practical argument is that in many countries, for academia, a journal publication is usually considered superior to a conference publication. And so for many of us, it's quite difficult to convince people that FSE papers are good papers, high-quality papers. The reason is that all papers are published in LNCS, which is not a guarantee of high quality, because LNCS published many, many conferences of different qualities. And then, if we want to prove that FSE is the main venue in symmetric crypto, then what people can check are the list of the top 20 conferences in cryptography and security that you can find on Google, for instance. And if you look at this list, what happens is that FSE is not in this list. In this list, you will find, of course, Eurocrypt, Crypto, IACR, you will find PKC, you will find chess, you will find TCC, you will find financial crypto, you will find CTRSA, but FSE is not here. And so the reason that, well, there are many reasons, but if you look at all kind of ranking or all different metrics, it appears that the scores we have for FSE are not very good. So there are several reasons. The first one is that we are a small community. So this, of course, this makes that the number of citations is not that big. The second reason is that an attack paper receives generally a lower number of citations than a design paper, of course. I mean, the design of present is a paper with a huge number of citations, whereas when you have an attack, well, you're not cited in such a way. And also the fact that we have post-proceedings is probably not good. So, but anyway, all these arguments led us to think that we are not happy with this situation and we would like to change it. Well, actually, our situation in symmetric crypto is not so specific that we are the first one to raise this kind of issues. And several communities, other communities in computer science had the same problems, and they moved to a journal publication model. So this is a case of VLDB. VLDB is the main venue for database. This is also the case of PETS, which is one of the main conferences on privacy, and also this journal on electronic technologies and systems, which is related to a Usenix workshop, which is named VOTE. So, what does it mean? A journal model for a conference. So this means that we will have a journal. This journal will be entitled IACR Transactions on Symmetric Cryptology. So this is the title that we all agreed on. And so this will be a real journal. Okay, this means that if in your publication list you split your publication between journal papers and conference paper, you could put all papers published in this journal as journal papers. And this journal will be a bit different from what we had, from what we have now with Journal of Cryptology, and the difference will be that we will guarantee a fast review process, which is more or less what we have for the conference. That even if we have a journal dedicated to symmetric crypto, it's very important also for a community that we meet together every year, because we need to have some discussion and so on. So for this reason, we want that the author of all published paper, which will be accepted in the journal within 1 year, all these papers will be presented at the conference, at the FSE conference, the year after, the next FSE conference. In practice, what does it mean? It means that, so as I said, we will have 4 different issues during the year. So where is the pointer? No. Okay, so the first issue will have a deadline the 1st of March, and with a notification to the authors two months later, and a publication 1 month later. Second issue with a deadline the 1st of June. The third one will have a deadline the 1st of September, and the last issue will have a deadline the 1st of December, and all papers accepted within these 2 issues will be presented at the following FSE. Of course, for this year, it will be a bit different. First, the first reason is that it took some time to get the formal approval from the IACR Board of Directors. As you know, this proposal is first a proposal coming from the FSE Steering Committee, but FSE is an IACR conference, so when we want to change something, we need a formal approval from IACR, which is given by a vote of the Board of Directors, and we get the formal approval of the Board of Directors yesterday. So now it is approved, but it took some time, so we could not start as we first planned. We could not start this month, so we will have only 3 issues this year, and so the first deadline will be the 1st of June. So if you have a good paper on symmetric crypto, be ready to submit the paper the 1st of June. And so the second minor modification is that for the last issue this year, the deadline will not be the 1st of December, but it will be 1 week before, to get a notification 1 week before, so that people have some time, if they need, to apply for a visa to the next FSE conference, the FSE 2017, which will be the second week of March. Okay, so this is the plan for this year, and so this doesn't say how it will improve the quality of the paper. So this comes from the review process. So the review process in this journal is like what we have in most journals. First, the important point is that it will be a 2-month review process, but there is some condition because it's a journal, we don't have any limitation on the number of pages of the submissions. This means that if you want, you can submit your best 80-page paper, that's fine, but in that case, we cannot guarantee that we will review it within 2 months, okay? So unless the number of pages of your submission is very big, we guarantee a 2-month review. And the outcome of this review can be one of these 4 things. So we are really used to the first one and the last one, which are accept and reject. This is clear. But we have 2 things in between. The first one is a conditional acceptance, where the reviewers ask for some minor revisions, and then the authors have 1 month to prepare a revised version and a document explaining how they took all comments into account, and then they resubmit this, and this revised version will be checked by the reviewers. And what is really new is this third decision, which means that the reviewers request a major revision of your paper. So probably then, in this case, the authors need some more time. So they are expected to submit a revised paper to one of the 2 following deadlines. So they have some more time for that. And they also have to submit a document explaining how they revised their paper. And the paper will go to the same reviewers. Okay? So this is how it will work. In practice, what does it mean for the program committee and so on? So First of all, we have decided that this journal will be published not by a commercial publisher, because we need a gold open access, but we want it to be free to both readers and authors. And so we choose to have an academic publisher, and this academic publisher will be the University of Bochum. This journal will be electronic only. And it will be, we will have a website, of course, and we could access the journal website from, of course, the Bochum University website, and of course from the IACR website. We will have 2 co-editors-in-chief, exactly as we have 2 program chairs in the main crypto conferences, and we'll have the same kind of rolling system. And so our first 2 co-editors-in-chief are Bart Prenel and Maria Naya Plasencia. And so these co-editors-in-chief are selected by the FSC steering committee, and of course this needs to be approved by IACR, and they then appoint an editorial board, which will be a quite large editorial board, composed of something like 35 persons. This editorial board will change every year. And what is the aim of that? We want to have a quite large editorial board, because the idea is that the number of papers for each issue will be something like the number of submissions to FSC divided by 2 or 3. So this means that what we would like to have is roughly 5 or 6 papers to review for each member of the editorial board. And so these members of the editorial boards are expected to review the papers themselves, so that it will be easy to have discussion between the editorial board members. And we will have also what is called a managing editor, someone whose role is very important. In particular, his role will be to produce the metadata that are used, for instance, in DBLP or CryptoDB and all this ranking system. And so this is quite important, and our first managing editor will be Gregor. So now to sum up, what will be different? So you understood, I guess, that what will be different is that we won't have, for the selection process of FSC, we won't have one deadline where we received all submission. Instead, this will be like we have something like 3 or 4 mini FSC, which are spread over the years. So we'll have this year 3, and afterwards 4 different deadlines. So this will be how the papers of FSC will be selected. Remember that it will be mandatory for the authors of accepted paper to present their paper at the conference. And so what won't change is the submission server, because we will use the same submission server as before. So this will be exactly the same for the authors. What will be a bit different is that we will have a new LaTeX style, because we cannot use LNCS anymore, because we are not published by Springer anymore. And what is very important is that we don't have anyone, because this is not a commercial publisher, we won't have anyone checking for your LaTeX format and the typesetting of your paper. So this means that it will be the responsibility of the authors to be sure that typesetting of your papers is fine. And something which is something very important is that it will be your responsibility, and this is really important, that all references in your list of references at the end of your paper are very standardized and clean. Why is it important? That's important because all this ranking, all these metrics are generated from the number of citations we have for all papers. And of course, this number of citations, it's counted in an automatic way from your list of references. And so if the references you put in your paper are not clean, if there's some one author missing, or if there's a name of the book or of the journal is not properly spelled or something like that, then this won't count. So this means that you have a citation, but it's not counted. Okay, so this is really important because our plan is to get an impact factor after 3 years. after 3 years, because by definition, it takes at least 3 years to get an impact factor for a new journal. Well, at the moment, we have no impact factor for FSC, so it cannot be worse, but the plan is to have one after 3 years, and we think it's possible to have one because our papers are good, but one of the conditions for this is that we try to do it, to be aware of this kind of constraint, and that we are able to guarantee that our references are very clean. And the plan is that we probably will provide the author with some BibTeX files with the main references, so the main papers, the main entries of the main conferences. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say.
A brief question. Wouldn't there actually be that the references to other FSE papers need to be clean, and the reference to other journals probably should not be clean?
Could be, yeah. You're right. So the most important thing is that, but also because most FSC papers cite also other FSC papers, well, this is also a concern. But you're right. The most important thing is when you write a paper that will be published in another journal or in another conference, then please cite many papers coming from our journal, and make sure that the references are clean. Yeah, you're right. So that's, I think, all I have to say. If you have, of course, I can take some question. If you have some further question or discussion, I will be around. Also, we have many members of the steering committee here. Gregor is here, of course. Shiho also. I saw Christian Reichberger this morning. So Bart will be here tomorrow. So if you have any question, you can ask any of us. Thank you.